For 4 months, nobody came to room 412 to visit the unidentified young man lying unconscious inside. Not his parents, not his fiancée, not even the people who claimed they had searched everywhere for him. Yet every afternoon, 2 9-year-old twin girls came to the hospital. They didn't know his name. They didn't know he was one of Seoul's most powerful businessmen. To them, he was simply Mr. Sleeping. And on the day he finally opened his eyes, they were the first visitors he saw. 4 months earlier, Kang Junhyuk, a 31-year-old technology CEO, had disappeared after leaving his office. His black sedan was later discovered wrecked at the bottom of a mountain road. There was no identification inside. His phone and wallet were missing. His face had been badly injured. The police circulated his photographs, while Kang Holdings offered a huge reward for information. His fiancée, Yoon Hae-rin, appeared on television repeatedly, crying as she begged anyone with information to bring him home. But the hospital never connected the unidentified patient in room 412 to the missing CEO. The accident had happened outside Seoul, while the initial search for Junhyuk focused on other areas. With his belongings missing and his face badly injured, the hospital had no confirmed identity for the unconscious patient. Meanwhile, the 2 little girls had their own reason for being at the hospital. Their grandmother had been receiving treatment there for several months for a terminal illness. Their mother, Samantha Williams, worked at the same hospital as a nurse. Because Samantha often worked long shifts and their grandmother's condition required frequent care, Maya and Mila regularly accompanied their mother to the hospital after school. While Samantha worked, the twins would spend time in the family lounge or visit their grandmother whenever Samantha had a break. One afternoon, they noticed the young man behind the glass of room 412. Nobody ever seemed to visit him. Maya stared at the empty chair beside his bed.
Doesn't he have anybody?
Mila shrugged.
Maybe he's sleeping. He's been sleeping for a long time.
Samantha had warned them that the patient was unconscious and that they were not allowed to disturb him. So they didn't. Instead, they began leaving drawings on the small table outside his room. A smiling sun, a bowl of noodles, a hospital garden. One day, they drew him standing beside 2 little girls. Eventually, because the nurses had become familiar with the twins from their regular visits to their grandmother, Samantha asked permission for them to sit quietly inside room 412 for a few minutes. She stayed nearby the entire time. The girls began talking to Mr. Sleeping. They told him about school. They complained about homework. They argued about who was taller. And before leaving every afternoon, they made the same promise. "We'll come back tomorrow." They never expected him to hear them. Until the afternoon, everything changed. Maya placed a new drawing beside his pillow. It showed Mr. Sleeping standing beneath a bright blue sky. Behind him was a small red car. Mila frowned.
Why did you draw a red car? I don't know.
You never draw cars. I just thought of it.
Before Mila could answer, the monitor suddenly changed. Beep. Both girls froze. Beep. Junhyuk's fingers moved. Maya grabbed Mila's hand. "Did you see that?" His fingers moved again. Then his eyelids trembled. The girls cried out for their mother. Samantha rushed in from the nearby nurses' station, followed by doctors and other nurses. After 4 months of silence, Kang Junhyuk opened his eyes. He stared at the ceiling. Then the doctors. Then the 2 frightened girls standing near the door. His voice came out weak. "Who are you?" Maya stepped forward. "We're Maya and Mila." Junhyuk stared at them. Then his eyes moved toward the drawing. The red car. Something flashed inside his mind. Rain. Headlights. His hands gripping a steering wheel. A bitter taste. Then a voice. A man's voice. "You shouldn't have found out." Junhyuk's breathing quickened. The doctor tried to calm him, but he kept staring at the drawing. "Who drew that?" Maya raised her hand. "I did." Junhyuk looked at the little girl. He didn't know why, but somehow, that innocent drawing had brought back the first fragment of a memory someone desperately wanted him to forget. The doctors spent the next hour examining Junhyuk. His body was severely weakened after 4 months of unconsciousness and prolonged immobility. But his mind was surprisingly clear. "You know your name?" the doctor asked. Kong Jun-hyuk. And your company? Kong Holdings. He remembered almost everything about his life. Except the accident. Only fragments remained. Rain. A red vehicle. A strange bitterness in his mouth. Then darkness. His eyes moved toward Maya and Mila. Their mother, Samantha, stood behind them in her nurse's uniform. I'm sorry, she said. They weren't supposed to be in the room when you woke up. Jun-hyuk shook his head. It's okay. He pointed toward the drawing. Why did she draw a red car? Maya shrugged. I don't know. It just came into my head. Jun-hyuk stared at it. His own car had been black. But the memory forming in his mind wasn't. A red reflection had appeared on the wet road before the crash. Someone was behind me, he whispered. The doctor leaned closer. Do you remember who? No. Before anyone could ask another question, Mila spoke. I saw a red car too. Everyone turned toward her. Where? Samantha asked. Outside the hospital. When? A few days ago. Samantha frowned. Why didn't you tell me? I thought it was just a car. Mila explained that she had noticed a man sitting inside it near the hospital entrance. She remembered that he kept looking toward the hospital building. Jun-hyuk's expression tightened. Did he look at your mother? Mila shook her head. No. He was looking toward this room. That frightened everyone. The police were informed, but there was no immediate evidence that the car was connected to Jun-hyuk. Then another visitor arrived. His fiancée. Yoon Hae-rin entered room 412 with tears streaming down her face. Jun-hyuk. She rushed toward him. I thought I'd lost you forever. Jun-hyuk remembered her. Their relationship. Their engagement. The apartment they had planned to share. Yet the moment she touched his hand, something inside him felt wrong. He couldn't explain it. Hae-rin asked him what he remembered. Not much about the accident. Her expression tightened for half a second. Then she smiled. Don't force yourself. Jun-hyuk watched her carefully. A strange memory surfaced. The night before the accident. Hae-rin had been in his kitchen. She was holding a dark-colored bottle. He remembered her saying something. Then the memory disappeared. He said nothing. Later that evening, Maya returned to the room with another drawing. This one showed the hospital entrance. The red car was there again. But this time, there was a tiny silver triangle drawn on its side. Jun-hyuk stared at it. He recognized the symbol. It belonged to Vega Shield, a private security company that Kong Holdings used for executive protection. Where did you see this? Maya shook her head. I don't know. I just drew it. Jun-hyuk touched the drawing. He remembered something else. Before the accident, he had discovered irregular payments leaving Kong Holdings. He had planned to investigate them. Someone had warned him to stop. Then he had received a message from his chief financial officer. We need to talk before you trust anyone else. Jun-hyuk suddenly understood why the accident felt different. Maybe it hadn't been an accident. The next morning, he asked the police to investigate Vega Shield. Hospital security footage revealed that a security contractor connected to the company had been near the mountain road on the night Jun-hyuk disappeared. But that wasn't the strangest part. The same contractor had also been seen near the hospital several times while Jun-hyuk was unconscious. Someone had known he survived. And someone had been watching room 412. The police's discovery stayed in Jun-hyuk's mind. Someone had been watching him. The twins had noticed things adults had ignored simply because nobody expected two children to be paying attention. One afternoon, Maya and Mila brought Jun-hyuk a small notebook. We wrote things down. Jun-hyuk opened it. There were simple observations. A strange man near the elevator. A red car outside. A visitor who asked whether Mr. Sleeping was still unconscious. None of it proved anything. But together it made Jun-hyuk uneasy. Then his cousin arrived. Kang Do-yoon. He entered carrying an expensive bouquet. My cousin. Jun-hyuk looked at him. Have you been visiting? Do-yoon smiled. Of course. We never stopped searching. Jun-hyuk's eyes narrowed. Then why didn't you find me? Do-yoon hesitated. The police search was complicated. I was here. Silence. Do-yoon quickly changed the subject. But Mila suddenly stared at his wrist. "I've seen that watch before." Do-yoon froze. "Where?" Mila pointed toward his wrist. "On the man in the red car." His hand instinctively moved over the watch. Jun-hyuk noticed. The watch had a distinctive dark face and silver band. It looked similar to the one Mila had described seeing on the man near the hospital entrance. But that still wasn't proof. A similar watch could belong to many people. So Jun-hyuk said nothing. After Do-yoon left, he asked the police to investigate him. They discovered that Do-yoon had been involved in several financial decisions concerning Kong Holdings during Jun-hyuk's disappearance. Then something else surfaced. Do-yoon had quietly purchased shares through several companies connected to him. If Jun-hyuk remained missing, Do-yoon could gain significant influence over the company. But the police still couldn't connect him directly to the crash. Then Hae-rin returned. She cried. She held Jun-hyuk's hand. She spoke about the months she had spent searching. Jun-hyuk listened. Then he noticed the necklace around her neck. A tiny silver triangle. The Vega shield symbol. "Where did you get that?" Hae-rin touched it. "Do-yoon gave it to me." Jun-hyuk said nothing. After she left, he asked the police to investigate the connection between Hae-rin, Do-yoon, and Vega shield. The results were disturbing. Hae-rin had met a Vega shield executive 3 days before Jun-hyuk's accident. Do-yoon had also contacted the same company. And there was one more person involved. Park Sung-min, Jun-hyuk's chief financial officer. The man who had warned him before his disappearance. But Sung-min was suddenly nowhere to be found. His apartment was empty. His office had been cleared. His phone was switched off. Someone had warned him. Meanwhile, Jun-hyuk struggled with rehabilitation. His legs remained weak. One afternoon, he tried to stand and collapsed back into his wheelchair. "I can't do this." Samantha, still working her shift at the hospital, stood nearby. "You can. You don't understand. I understand that you're angry." He looked at her. She continued gently. "You woke up and discovered that people you trusted may have betrayed you. You're afraid of losing control of your life. And your body isn't cooperating." Jun-hyuk looked away. Then Maya appeared at the doorway. "We're still here." He looked at her. She smiled. "We told you we'd come tomorrow." For the first time since waking up, Jun-hyuk laughed. The twins didn't care about his company. They didn't care about his money. They simply cared that he was still there. And that was something the people around him had apparently forgotten. That evening, police reviewed hospital security footage. The scarred security contractor appeared 3 times during Jun-hyuk's coma. Each time, he went toward room 412. But he never entered the room. He only spoke to someone near the nurse's station. Then, on the final visit, the footage showed something worse. Hae-rin arrived shortly before him. And minutes later, Do-yoon entered through another entrance. 3 people. 1 hospital. 1 unconscious CEO. And a secret none of them knew the twins had already begun noticing. Jun-hyuk decided not to confront Hae-rin. Not yet. If she was involved, confronting her would only warn whoever was behind the plan. So he pretended to trust her. Meanwhile, investigators followed the money. They discovered that Do-yoon had been moving company funds through several shell businesses. The transfers had started months before Jun-hyuk's accident. Then they found something more important. Jun-hyuk had been investigating the same accounts before he disappeared. He had discovered that millions of won were being stolen from Kong Holdings. And someone had been desperate to stop him. The evidence pointed toward Do-yoon. But he wasn't working alone. Hae-rin had provided information about Jun-hyuk's schedule. Park Sung-min had helped hide the financial records. And the Vega shield contractor had been hired to track Jun-hyuk. The police still needed proof that they had caused the crash. Then Jun-hyuk's memory began returning. He remembered the night before the accident. Hae-rin had handed him a drink. He had taken several sips. Tasted bitter. Minutes later, his vision blurred. His hands became weak. He remembered reaching for the steering wheel. Then headlights appeared behind him. A red vehicle. Someone was following him. Jun-hyuk told the investigators. Toxicology testing was ordered using preserved samples from his original hospital admission. The results shocked everyone. A sedative had been present in his system. It wouldn't necessarily have killed him, but combined with exhaustion and driving at high speed, it could have caused him to lose control of the car. The crash had not been random. Someone had deliberately weakened him before he drove. Now investigators had to prove who supplied the substance. The breakthrough came when Hae-rin began receiving threatening messages from Do-yoon. He wanted her to remain silent. Then she discovered something terrifying. Do-yoon had prepared documents that would blame everything on her if the investigation ever reached them. He planned to tell police that Hae-rin had acted alone. She realized she had never truly been his partner. She had been his insurance policy. Terrified, Hae-rin saved copies of their messages. She saved financial records. She saved instructions from Do-yoon. And most importantly, she saved a voice recording from the night they discussed Jun-hyuk's disappearance. Meanwhile, Jun-hyuk continued rehabilitation. His legs were still weak, but he refused to give up. Maya and Mila became his unofficial cheering squad. One afternoon, Maya placed a new drawing on the wall. It showed Jun-hyuk standing. This time, there was no red car. No mystery, just him. Standing. Jun-hyuk stared at it. "Do you really think I'll walk again?" Maya nodded. "Yes." "Why?" "Because you keep trying." That answer stayed with him. He began training harder. Days later, he managed to stand between the parallel bars for several seconds. Samantha smiled. Mila celebrated. Jun-hyuk laughed. For the first time, he wasn't fighting simply to return to his company. He wanted his life back. Then the police arrived. They had found Park Sung-min. He had been hiding outside Seoul, and he was ready to talk. Sung-min admitted that Do-yoon had discovered Jun-hyuk was investigating the missing money. He admitted that Hae-rin had helped Do-yoon obtain Jun-hyuk's movements, and he admitted that Vega Shield had been paid to monitor him. But there was one thing he still hadn't revealed. Who had ordered the crash? Sung-min looked at the investigators. Do-yoon. The room went silent. He told us Jun-hyuk couldn't be allowed to expose him. Then Sung-min handed over the final piece of evidence. A payment made to the security contractor on the night of the accident. Jun-hyuk finally knew the truth. The people closest to him had planned to make him disappear. But they had made one mistake. They had underestimated the people who had nothing to gain from finding him. 2 little girls had kept coming back to room 412. And because of that, Jun-hyuk had never truly disappeared. The investigation moved quickly. Do-yoon was arrested. Park Sung-min agreed to cooperate with investigators. Hae-rin surrendered the messages and recordings she had secretly saved. The Vega Shield contractor was arrested soon after. The evidence showed that Do-yoon had been stealing from Kong Holdings and feared Jun-hyuk would expose him. He had used Hae-rin to learn Jun-hyuk's movements. He had hired the security contractor. And when Jun-hyuk discovered enough to threaten everything Do-yoon had built, the plan was put into motion. Hae-rin gave him the sedative. The contractor followed Jun-hyuk, and Do-yoon arranged for the search to focus on the wrong places. When Jun-hyuk survived the crash, they believed his injuries were severe enough that he might never recover. But he did. He remained unconscious in room 412, and because his identification was missing, the hospital never connected him to the missing CEO. For 4 months, he lay there while the people who claimed to love him continued pretending to search. Then 2 little girls started visiting. They didn't know who he was. They didn't know he was rich. They didn't even know his name. They simply refused to let him be alone. Months later, Jun-hyuk began walking again with a cane. His first independent steps lasted only a few seconds. Maya and Mila screamed with excitement. "You did it!" Jun-hyuk laughed. "You two are louder than my entire board of directors. We're better supervisors," Mila declared. "You probably are." Kong Holdings eventually returned to Jun-hyuk's control. He removed the executives involved in the fraud and rebuilt the company's security systems. But he did something else. He established a hospital program for unidentified patients who had no family searching for them. The program provided regular identity checks, patient advocates, and follow-up investigations so that nobody could disappear into a hospital system simply because they had no one looking for them. He named it the Room 412 Project. Not after himself. After the room where he had almost been forgotten. Except by two little girls. On the day the program opened, Jun-hyuk stood beside Maya and Mila. A photograph of them hung behind the stage. Maya looked up at him. "Are you still Mr. Sleeping?" Jun-hyuk smiled. "Only when I'm tired." Mila shook her head. "No, you're Mr. Walking now." Everyone laughed. Then Jun-hyuk became quiet. "Why did you keep coming?" Maya looked at him as though the answer were obvious. "Because nobody else did." Those words stayed with him. He had spent his entire life surrounded by people who wanted something from him. Executives wanted his approval. Investors wanted his money. People wanted his influence. But two little girls had sat beside him when he had nothing to give them. Mila handed him their final drawing. It showed three people beneath a bright sun. Jun-hyuk, Maya, Mila. At the bottom were the words, "You woke up, so we stopped waiting." Jun-hyuk stared at it. Then he noticed one tiny detail in the corner. A little red car. He smiled. The accident had taken 4 months from his life. It had nearly taken everything else. But those 4 months had taught him something he could never have learned in a boardroom. Family isn't always about blood. Loyalty isn't always the person standing beside you in public. And sometimes, the people who save you are the ones who never expected anything in return. Jun-hyuk folded the drawing carefully. "Thank you." Maya smiled. "For what?" "For coming back." She shook her head. "We told you we'd come tomorrow." Jun-hyuk laughed. And this time, when the girls walked away beside their mother, he didn't feel abandoned. Because he finally understood something. The people who truly care about you don't only come when you're powerful. They come when you're helpless. They come when nobody is watching. And sometimes they come simply because they promised they would. Jun-hyuk learned that family isn't always about blood. And loyalty isn't proven by the people who claim to love you. Sometimes, the people who stand beside you when you have nothing to offer are the ones who truly care. And sometimes, a small act of kindness can return to you in a way you never expected.
If you were Jun-hyuk, would you forgive Haerin after everything she did?
Tell me in the comments.
If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next story.
Thank you for watching. Bye.